I don't know how long I've been driving now. Sometimes I see my own face in the rearview mirror, pale and hollow-eyed. Sometimes I hear the voices of other drivers, begging to be let go. But the car never stops. The phone never stops buzzing. If you ever see an ad for a driving job that seems too good to be true, don't answer it. Don't get in the car, because once you start driving, you can never stop. I was desperate for work. My last job at the warehouse had ended abruptly when the company folded, and the bills were piling up. I'd been living off ramen and black coffee for weeks, and my landlord's patience was running thin. So, when I saw the ad online, drivers wanted, no experience necessary, night shifts, high pay, immediate start. I didn't hesitate. I clicked apply and filled out the form, barely reading the fine print. Within minutes, my phone rang. The number was blocked. I hesitated, thumb hovering over the screen, but then I answered. "Hello, is this Jack?" The voice was calm, almost soothing, but there was something off about it. It was as if I was talking to a recording or someone who had practiced this conversation 1,000 times. "Yeah, this is Jack," I replied, trying to sound more confident than I felt. "We received your application. Can you start tonight?" I blinked. Sure. What do I need to do?" "Just come to 17th and Main. Your car will be waiting. Everything you need is provided. Just bring yourself." The line went dead. I stared at my phone, heart pounding. It was weird, but I was too broke to care. I pulled on my jacket, grabbed my keys, and headed out into the night. The city was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you feel like you're the last person left alive. I walked the few blocks to 17th and Main, my breath fogging in the cold air. Under a flickering streetlight, a black sedan idled at the curb. The windows were tinted and the engine purred softly. I looked around, but there was no one else in sight. I opened the driver's door. On the seat was a key fob, a cheap smartphone, and a small white envelope. I got in, closed the door, and picked up the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper. "Welcome, Jack. Follow the instructions on the phone. Do not ask questions. Do not look back." I frowned, but before I could think to, much about it. The phone buzzed. A new message appeared. "Drive to 13 Willow Lane. Pick up Mr. Gray." I started the car, hands trembling. The dashboard lights glowed an eerie blue. I pulled away from the curb, the city sliding past in a blur of rain and neon. I kept telling myself it was just a weird company, maybe some kind of rideshare startup. But the streets were too empty, the air too still. I glanced in the rearview mirror. The back seat was empty, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. I found 13 Willow Lane easily enough. It was a crumbling Victorian house, the kind you see in horror movies. The yard was overgrown, the windows dark. I checked the phone again. "You have arrived. Unlock the back door." I hesitated, then pressed the unlock button. The back door clicked open. A cold wind rushed into the car and I shivered. I waited. Nothing happened. "Mr. Gray?" I called, my voice barely above a whisper. Silence. I glanced in the rearview mirror. The back seat was still empty. Then, suddenly, the temperature dropped. My breath fogged in the air. A faint, raspy voice echoed from the back seat. Drive. My heart hammered in my chest. I looked in the mirror again. Still nothing. I put the car in gear and pulled away from the curb. Where to? I asked, my voice shaking. Home, the voice replied. The phone buzzed again. The GPS app opened, plotting a route through winding, unfamiliar streets. I followed the directions, glancing nervously at the mirror every few seconds. I tried to convince myself it was a prank. Maybe someone was hiding in the trunk, using a voice changer. But the cold in the car was real. The voice was real. The radio turned on by itself, static hissing. I jumped, fumbling with the controls. The static faded, replaced by a faint, old-fashioned song. It sounded like something from a scratchy old record. Don't be afraid, the voice said. I swallowed hard. Who are you? No answer. We passed under a streetlight. For a split second, I saw a pale face reflected in the rearview mirror, sunken eyes, mouth twisted in a silent scream. I gasped, swerved the car. What do you want from me? I shouted. Silence. The GPS rerouted, leading me down a narrow tree-lined road. The headlights cut through the fog. Trees loomed on either side, branches clawing at the sky. The phone buzzed again. Almost there. The cold intensified. My teeth chattered. You shouldn't have taken this job, the voice whispered. My hands shook. I needed the money. I didn't know. No one ever does. The car slowed as the GPS announced, You have arrived. I looked around. We were in the middle of nowhere. No houses, no lights, just darkness. The back door opened by itself. The cold vanished. I turned, heart pounding. The back seat was empty. I got out, stumbling into the night. The silence was oppressive. I looked at my phone. A new message. Return to base. I got back in the car, hands shaking, and drove back through the city. The streets were still empty. I pulled up to 17th and Main. The dispatcher was waiting. A tall, thin man in a black suit, face obscured by shadows. I got out, approached him. Congratulations, Jack. You completed your first ride. I stared at him, voice trembling. What was that? Who was in my car? He smiled, teeth too white. You did well. Are you ready for your next fare? I backed away, shaking my head. No, I quit. I'm done. His smile faded. You can't quit, Jack. You agreed to the terms. I turned and ran. I burst through the door of my apartment, slammed it shut. I paced, breathing hard. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I ignored it. The phone buzzed again. And again. I threw it across the room. It landed on the bed, still buzzing. I collapsed onto the mattress, burying my face in my hands. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that face in the mirror. Sunlight filtered through the blinds. I woke, groggy. My phone was silent. I checked my bank account. There was a deposit. 500 way. I stared at the screen, conflicted. I tried to go back to normal. I sat in a coffee shop, nursing a cup of coffee, watching people come and go, trying to convince myself it was all a bad dream. My phone buzzed. New message. Tonight, 11 p.m., 42 Maple Drive, Mrs. Black. My hands trembled. I deleted the message, turned off the phone. That night I sat in the dark, staring at the wall. The phone was off, battery removed. A knock at the door. I froze. Another knock, louder. I crept to the door, peered through the peephole. No one there. I backed away, heart racing. The phone, still off, buzzed on the table. I stared at it, horrified. I sat on the floor, knees pulled to my chest. The phone buzzed again. I picked it up, hands shaking. The screen was blank. Suddenly, the room grew cold. My breath fogged in the air. A faint whisper. Drive. I dropped the phone, scrambling back. The lights flickered. Shadows moved along the walls. I grabbed my keys, ran out the door. I ran through the empty streets, desperate. I saw the black sedan parked at the curb, engine running. I tried to run past it, but the doors unlocked with a click. I stopped, breathing hard. The dispatcher stood beside the car, smiling. "You can't run, Jack. You belong to us now." I shook my head, backing away. "No, I won't do it." His eyes glinted in the darkness. "You already did." The back door opened. The cold rushed out, enveloping me. A hand, pale, skeletal, reached from the darkness, grabbing my arm. I screamed, struggling. "Drive," the voice whispered. I was pulled into the car. The door slammed shut. I sat behind the wheel, eyes glazed. The dispatcher sat beside me, grinning. The back seat was filled with shadows, faces flickering in and out of existence. I drove, expression blank. There are always more passengers, Jack. Always more rides. The car disappeared. I don't know how long I've been driving now. Sometimes I see my own face in the rearview mirror, pale and hollow-eyed. Sometimes I hear the voices of other drivers, begging to be let go. But the car never stops. The phone never stops buzzing. If you ever see an ad for a driving job that seems too good to be true, don't answer it. Don't get in the car, because once you start driving, you can never stop.